Hey, so this video is going to be on completing the square. I got a question about that, so here it is for you. So, completing the square. First of all, this is a great website. Check out this URL, put it in the comments, and this has a great little tutorial about completing the square. So, what do you do when you have a equation that looks something like this? F of x equals x squared plus 3x. And let's say x equals 2. Well, you plug it in. F of 2 is 2 squared plus 3 times 2, and you get 4 plus 6 equals 10. So what are you actually doing there? Well, as you can see here, what we're doing is we're actually adding areas. So for 2x, for x equals 2, we're adding x squared, which is 4, plus 3x, which is 6, equals 10. So you can see we're adding areas, and that's the general idea behind a quadratic and completing the square, is that we can represent all these things with areas. And what we really want is to have this x squared plus bx just to be one square. We want to turn it into this square. Okay, so what's the general rule for completing the square? Well, here's the general rule. We have a quadratic that's ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, and we want to turn it into something like this. A times the quantity x plus d squared plus e equals 0. And the rule here is d is b over 2a, and e is c minus b squared over 4a. And I know that looks like a lot, but you can, if you're in a hurry, just take the a's, b's, and c's, plug them into here, and it will turn into your complete square. And that's your goal. So take a look at this. You should write this down and learn this, and that will be your really quick way of completing the square. However, we're going to learn how to do this. So let's take an example. Okay, here we go. We have, it says find the function f of x that completes the square for x squared minus 10x plus 21 equals f of x. Well, this f of x is a little confusing. It's not 0 like we saw right here, but it's close. So we can actually just call that 0 or move it out of the way, and then just replace it at the end. So basically we're going to get something like this: ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So just put a 0 in for f of x, and then at the end, when we have equal to 0 again, just replace it with an f of x. Okay? So that's all that means. So how are we going to complete the square? Well, we can just basically do this, and let me tell you the steps carefully. So we have, let's change this equation to what we want: x squared minus 10x plus 21 minus 10x plus 21. Oops, sorry. Okay, so what are we going to do first? Well, we want to call this 0, and we want to isolate this. We don't have any coefficients in front of the x squared. That's the first step. But we don't have any coefficients, so we're just going to move this 21 to the other side, and that makes it minus 21 equals x squared minus 10x. And what we're going to do is take half of this and square it, half this minus 10x and square it. So we get minus 21, and then what we'll add to each side is 1/2 of this squared. So 1/2 of negative 10 squared, so that's 1/2 of negative 10, so negative 10 over 2, and then that's squared. And we're adding this to both sides. So this is what we get. And when you do minus 1/2 of this squared, you will always get something of this form. So this always equals x minus, or x minus 10 over 2, and then that squared. So when you take 1/2 of the middle term and square it and add it to each side, you will always get x minus that middle term over 2 and then that quantity squared. So that helps you complete the square. That gets you to this form x plus d squared, which is exactly what you want. So we went from here to here. And so let's clean this up a little. So now we have this. And we actually want to find 0 again right here. So this minus 10 over 2 squared, that's minus 5 squared, which is 25. So then let's change that to 25, and minus 21 plus 25 is 4. And so we want 0 again, so we get 0 equals this term, and then subtract the 4 from each side, minus 4. And we'll change that 0 back to an f of x. And that should be our solution. F of x equals minus 10 over 2 squared minus 4. And just again, you're going to have something in the form like this, and you want to turn it into something like this, and you just use these 2 steps. It's that simple. You can plug, and take a look at the examples down here, because they'll make sense. So for this one, they have an example here. They're going to move the 7 over without even bringing it to the other side, and take 1/2 of this, square it, and put it and subtract it. So you're doing the same thing, so that works out, and you'll get a complete square. So take a look at this website, and they have a list of the steps and more examples. And I hope this helped.